everybody. Welcome to another episode on Alto Call MAFS. Today's episode, we will continue to cover the rewatch of season 9, and today is episode 7. I'm Tane, your host, and my co host for this rewatch is Jen. Hi, Jen. How are you?
Oh, Tane, this is the episode I've been waiting for, so I'm so excited to get to talking about it. This is the reason why we did this season. I'm ready to go.
Okay. Well, before we dive in, a little chit chat. How are you feeling, Jen?
I'm feeling okay. I don't know. I don't think we talked about it with everybody, but I
Yeah.
am. I just had spine surgery, so my spine was misaligned, and I had to have surgery to get titanium screws put in to straighten out my spine. And so that was on the 13th. So I'm about a couple weeks into recovery, and I'm actually doing pretty well. I know I sound sick today, um, but yeah, I have to say, like, please pay attention to what your body's telling you. Our bodies are amazing. Quit punishing it for not being, your tummy's not flat or whatever. Your body's doing so many other things taking care of you. And I think I have a new kind of appreciation for what my body can do. And so I'm excited to see what the second half of my life, what I can do now that I'm all repaired. Thank you so much for asking. And thank you so much for checking up on me. You're so sweet for all the text messages.
You're welcome. Yay. Yeah, I'm glad she's okay. I don't know. For me, Jen just casually mentioned she was having surgery. I'm like, what? You are not going to the store to pick up some fresh vegetables or something. And this is major surgery as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, let me know you're okay. Give me a thumbs up, whatever happens. But I'm glad you're doing well and you're
I
doing
am.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
on
you.
my end, I was out the country last week. I mean, I kept you guys fed, so hope everyone enjoyed all the episodes that I dropped last week. I was in London, and I've spoken about this. Longtime listeners know this because I used to talk about this with Aid, where I have this phenomenon where I go out of town, I'm fine. Once I hit my home, the next day or a few days after, I get sick.
Oh no.
I don't I appreciate that it doesn't happen when I get to my destination. um it happens when I'm back home, but I don't know how it knows I'm home. But it starts like it's like a slow rollout, and it first starts with a sore throat, then it becomes either a cough or a cold, then it becomes just flat out I'm on my bed and can't move. So I'm currently in the sore throat phase of it all, so I'm sipping on my honey lemon ginger right now and hoping that it's not so terrible. And at this point, I don't even know why I wear a mask on the plane because I do, and it just happens all the time.
I hope you're feeling better soon. And I do love, I had honey lemon ginger tea yesterday, and there's something about it that's just so magical. But again, in terms of why your body waits until you come home, I think it's just because of the excitement. It kind of keeps you at a level where you're maintaining your energy for people. And I'm sure with your, when you're with family, you're talking and you're talking, and you're just kind of at this heightened sense that you're not when you're normally home. And so maybe now that you've been home and your body's settling down, it's like, oh, okay, I did all that work for you. Now you're going to do some work for me by sitting down.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, I was gonna wait. Jen knows this already, but I'm gonna share with you guys. Like I mentioned, I was in London just spending time with family, and I ran into the last person I ever thought I would run into. I was at my hotel and I got in early so they wouldn't let me check in. So I was waiting and I got tired of waiting and I went and tried again with someone else and they managed to get me a room. So I'm trying to fit like all my luggage. The elevators are much smaller over there. So I'm trying to fit it in. There's someone already there and I look up and I'm like, I know this person. But you know, when your brain can compute, like, why would you be seeing this person
Right.
in all
Right.
things? So I'm like, Beth? Yes, guys. Beth from Married at First Sight. Like of all the people. So I didn't realize she had her AirPods on. So she's looking at me like, and I do that whenever I come across like famous people. I just say their name like I know them, and then there's this state
Hmm.
of confusion. Like, do I know this person? Why is this rando saying my name? So she removed her AirPod, and she was coming into the elevator, and she comes in, and I'm like still in shock, and I'm trying to gather myself together and also navigate this super heavy suitcase into this little tiny place and not crush the person in there. And I'm like, oh, I have a Married at First Sight podcast. She's like, you do? Because I think she's like, also, huh? And I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I do. And then funny enough, I'm covering your season right now. And it's just so, like I can't believe it. And she's like, oh my God, if you ever want to chat, let me know. Like, and all of that. And then she steps out. What I should have done when I replay is probably just let my luggage go and step out with her and just stalk this poor woman.
No,
But
I'm
I
glad you
didn't.
didn't. I'm glad you didn't.
But
For
I
all of
didn't.
us that are listening to you, we're so glad you didn't.
And she's talking to me as the elevators are closing. She's like, DM me, the universe manifested this. And I'm like, I don't even believe in that. But I'm like, yes, it did. That was my encounter with Beth from Married at First Sight. But what are the odds?
Oh my gosh, Tane, when you sent me that message that you had ran into her in the elevator, I said, this is going to be epic. Not only because after listening to your interview with Alexis and your interview with Pepper, like you are so skilled at this, and there's nobody that I can think of that's going to handle this interview when you get it with such like detail and honesty and candor, and you're going to ask her that stuff that we all want to know, and because she's best, she's going to tell you.
Yeah.
And block 3 hours out of your day because that lady's chatty. But I cannot wait to hear your interview. And please, anybody that's listening, send your questions because Tane is really good about covering everything, but there's something that she will be too polite to ask, and she can blame it on you guys when she's asking that question that we all want to know.
I know. I'm just what I really, really wanted was I was hoping I would run into her again and then maybe have a drink and then see what happens, even if it's off the record. That was really what I wanted. But I didn't run into her again. But it was just exciting and just, an unexpected part to my day
And I
of
can't even
running into
imagine what's going on in your head where you're like, is that her? Is that not her? Do I say anything? Do I not say anything? Like, what do I do? Because I think I told you there was one time my brother and I were in Austin, Texas, and we saw Alyssa from
Yeah.
Houston. And we did not like her. Like we did a recap for that, and we ripped her to shreds. I think my brother called her a trash bag. And
Hmm.
when we saw her, my brain just stopped because she's super tiny in person. Like she looks tiny on TV, but in person she's itty bitty. And so
Hmm.
my brain was like, I hate her, but she's right here, and I'm not gonna be rude to her face. And what do I say? And I think I just said, "Hi, Alyssa," and she said, "Hi," and that was it. So all of the things that I thought I was gonna say just did not happen. So I'm proud of you for whatever part of your brain that was able to like shift into high gear and shift into professional podcaster mode, which is again why I think you need to be on one of these recap shows. It's so priceless. I'm so proud of you. I cannot wait to hear this episode.
Thank you. Well, what I want to say is it's never a question if I'm gonna go up to them because like I said, I have a bad habit. Like when every time I go to New York for some reason, I run into a celebrity and I just call them by their first name. I've run into not Kate Blanchett, the other redhead. Oh God, I am blanking right now.
Oh gosh.
I see her face I ran into her at a film festival and I just run in there and just took my selfie or run into Chris O'Dowd on the street and I'm like, hey Chris, what are you in town for? Like just having conversation like I know who these people are. So it's never a question if I'm gonna go up and say hi to them. It's my brain just recalibrating that they're actually in front of me. Because I don't think I mentioned this on the show. I ran into Tyler from Love is Blind. I don't know if you watched that, but so at some point
No.
he was the most hated man ever, and I ran into him. It was the DC season, so I went out with some friends and family to Punch Bowl Social, and then he went by. I was backing him, and then they say whispering. I'm like, what is everybody whispering about? They're like, that guy from Love is Blind. So they always turn to me for like the pop culture stuff, and they couldn't remember the name. So I ran after just to go see who it was, and then I see someone playing on their phone, and I was like, Tyler, and he's like, yes. I was like, oh hi, and then I walk away. And then I and then I I come back with my family and then we're talking again and they're like, he's come back, he's come back. So I just turn around and I'm like, so Tyler, how are you doing? What's going on? And I just make up conversation. And all I really want to say is, so how are the kids? But I
Mm.
can't say that. I don't know if you know. Do you know the background of Tyler?
Is this oh gosh, is this the one from the recent season with 3 kids and the sperm
Yeah, the
donor, that
season
guy?
before. Yes, that guy.
Oh, no, I don't know what
Yeah,
I
the
would do.
season
I would
before
wanna
that.
kick him in his shin. Oh, no.
Exactly. So I'm just like, what are you doing here? Because he's walking around with like a backpack, and I'm like, he's like, he went to see a movie. I'm like, alone? But I don't really want that. And then one of my friends is not really into pop culture, and she's really trying to like hype, like, oh, she has a podcast. You should come. I was like, I don't want this man on my podcast. Like,
Exactly. I don't want that smoke.
that was like 2 seasons ago. We don't we don't care about this man. He was kind of not cool or whatever. But again, it's just usually the shock of, oh, they're right here. And then that's it. But yeah. So that's it, guys. And I will transition into housekeeping, reminding you guys that there's a Patreon where you can listen to the episodes ad free. You can listen to bonus episodes. You can get episodes early. Coming up on Patreon, I will be covering the Sister Wives Tell All because now they're done. So I'll be doing that with Aid. I do have a Survivor episode where Jason and I talk about Survivor 50. If you are in Survivor land, you know that 50 was a big, big deal. They kind of let us down. And because of the leaks, they had to let it out early. So we talk about who we thought was snubbed, who would replace, and who what we generally just think about the season and what to expect. And the ultimatum is coming up. Yes, that's what I forgot. Actually, should be by the time you listen to this, ultimatum should be out. So I will be covering that also. So even if you don't want to watch or listen to all of that, if you just want to support me, you can join the Patreon at patreon.com. And if you just want to be part of a community of people who share reality TV thoughts with you, you can join for free and you can participate in the chats. We have been going back and forth on Love is Blind, trying to work on a special guest for Love is Blind. So not Love is Blind, I'm sorry, Love Island. So much love included in all that. So we'll talk about that also. So just go ahead and check it out, patreon.com/altacallmafs. Some things that I've been working on. Jen just mentioned my interview with Alexis. Feel free to check it out. She was so gracious and it was so fun to talk to her about her season. And I'll be working on some other past MAFS participants also. So look out for that. And if you're new here and just watched season 17 on Netflix, there's an interview with Lauren. I think it's 2 parts that you can go back into the archives and it's up there on the regular feed. You can check me out also counting down the worst wives on MAFS with Jason and Asia on the Perfect Match podcast Patreon. That was really fun. And I had to defend some of my choices because I think I put Iris on there. And after this episode we're about to recap, I feel justified in putting her on there. And finally, don't forget that I do have another podcast, which is the Sex and the City, the Rewatch, where we are currently recapping and just like that. But if you have ever rewatched Sex and the City, we rewatch all the seasons and you can find that over there. And yeah, I'm gonna take a deep breath. It's been
That
busy. It's been very
that's all.
busy.
That's all. Just, just the 15 podcasts, interviewing people. That's all, just doing it like you do.
Yeah, that's it. I have no mailbag this week. Nobody asked a question. But just to remind you guys that I am trying to just make this more interactive. If you have any questions on any show or want my opinions or comments or anything, just shoot me an email, a DM on any of the social medias, and I will read it out on here and let you know what my answer is.
I have a
Okay.
question for you that we did not rehearse at all.
Uh-oh. Okay.
What are your feelings about Kylan on the challenge?
Oh, that's easy. So at first, coming off of his big brother thing, I was not happy at all. And I think I have general feelings where it feels like the challenge is now the end goal for a lot of these people. And I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not gatekeeping the challenge by any means, but it just feels like everyone goes on these reality shows. And when they ask them, oh, what do you see about your future? They're like, I would love to be on the challenge. And it feels like we're not I'm saying we, like I could do half of what they do on the challenge, but we are not exclusive anymore. And it's kind of like a dumping ground of everything. They
Mm,
just released a cast. We just got a premiere date for 41. And it's just a mishmash of people from all over that I mean, we have someone from Married at First Sight UK. And I'm
mm,
just, are we being selective? We had like a whole pool of people that we never called back. What is happening? But I digress. So when the whole Kylan thing came in, I think Kylan's first was the Challenge USA, which is now canceled. I think they even removed it from Paramount. I wasn't feeling good feelings towards him, but he's won me over. I'm not even gonna lie that he's won me over. And I think also sharing about his diagnosis gives me an understanding that he's on the spectrum, he says, and
mm,
he processes things different. So now I understand that things that he says, even now I see it every now and then, he says something and everyone's looking at him like, why are you saying that? But it's because he processes things differently. And he's a
mhm.
very strong competitor. He is a
Yeah.
very strong competitor. And I was rooting for him for the Battle of the Champions, and they recognized he was a tough competitor, and he had a chance this last one, except they made it swimming. I mean, if you can go toe to toe with Jordan,
Yes.
that is something to be said. But now I don't know if he'll ever have the opportunity because everyone now identifies him as a threat.
Yeah.
So that's going to be hard, like Horacio. But yeah,
Yeah.
he won me over. He's pretty loyal, and he has all the ingredients to make it out on the challenge.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Off the top of your dome, no prep. I love it.
All right, guys. We are going to take a break and then just come right in and dive into this episode. And we're back. As usual, Jen, one word to describe this episode for
I mean, I don't have one. I think the one, I guess, is bathroom. Like, what
you.
happened? What was going on with the bathrooms? Why was this such a big issue on this episode? And so, if I had one word, it's bathroom. If you're going to give me three, however, it's going to be basic Caucasian sex. I'd heard about it, and it finally came. Tan, I have swam with sharks. I had surgery on my back. I have not looked forward to anything as much as I looked forward to seeing the origin of basic Caucasian sex, and I cannot wait to talk about it.
Did it live up to your dreams and expectations?
It did differently because I didn't know. You had told me about it, my brother had told me about it, but I didn't understand the dynamics between the couple. And so knowing the dynamics, it hit way harder. So, yes. So, those are my four words because I can't stick to one for this episode.
No worries. Okay, we'll start with Iris and Keith just to switch things up. They start with making breakfast, first time waking up in the apartment together as a married couple, and then Keith is asking her like, "How do you take your coffee?" She says, "I take my coffee with lots of sugar." But then when he makes it, she's like, "Well, I don't know what it's supposed to taste like. I don't drink coffee." What was that about?
I mean, this is one of those things again, Iris, dear Iris, I want to love you so much, but you do things that make no sense. Like coffee is one of those things where you either like it or you don't. And just saying throw a bunch of sugar in it so it tastes like sugar is not going to make you a coffee drinker. Like just be so clear with what it is that you want. If he says I'm making coffee, it's real easy to be like, I don't drink coffee. Like that's you guys getting to know each other. I don't know why we needed to go down this path.
Yeah, she absolutely did not have to drink coffee. But okay. So they talk about family, and Keith shares that his grandma has been hospitalized and she hasn't been doing well, with her cancer. He says he wants to go visit her later on today, and then if she'd like to come, that she's more than welcome to come. And she's like, "Oh, I hope I don't impose. Is that okay?" And she says, "Yes, it is." But she really appreciates him inviting her over to see his grandma with him. Then they have the meetups where the husbands and the wives meet up. The husbands meet up in what I assume is the apartment gym. And Matt asks about any issues that they may have. And Keith says, like, well, it'll be difficult for him to transition from living alone because he's been living alone for a while. Matt shares the whole thing about the second bathroom shot count. And if you're counting, I think with Jen saying like bathroom was mentioned so many times, if you're taking a shot every single time, this is time for your first one. So Matt shares the whole thing about moving his things in the second bathroom to give her space. And Matt mentions, the intimacy again, and Jamie shares that it has happened for him. And then Jamie says, like, "Oh, I'm okay coming in second." And that was just a bad taste in my mouth for that. Like, what is that
Hmm.
about? You're a grown man.
And also,
I think
it's
he's the
not
oldest in
true.
the season.
It's super not true.
That he came in second. He was the second to have sex.
I thought you meant second behind Beth's dad. But yes,
Oh, no, 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 no. He was talking about because Matt asked has anybody else had sex, but he mentioned
yes.
intimacy. And then he was like he came in second and he's surprised that other people haven't had sex. So Keith shares about the whole condom gate and how Iris was so mad. And Greg in his confessional is like, Keith is an idiot. He knew she was coming to the house. She knew she was gonna go through his things. Why didn't he just get rid of it? Like that was just so stupid. And he really gets a kick out of it and is laughing so hard. So he says again, like, well, it was empty because he packed it for the honeymoon. And I'm like, again, Keith, it was just three. Like, stop saying that. It's not a
Also,
good
yeah,
enough backup.
yeah. Still, how many were in there? And like again, I. But maybe that's a guy thing where they're like, okay, I don't know. I have no idea. I can't even justify why any of this is happening. Like, I don't know.
In the
I don't
first place, it doesn't matter. Like to his point when he was like, is this productive for us? It doesn't
know. Yeah.
matter. But saying like you took it to the honeymoon when it was only three, just throw away the pack. Like that's the whole point of
Right.
everything. Like, what did you keep the empty pack for? That's what
Hmm.
a trash can is for. So the wives are together or recycle if you recycle. So she shares about the bathroom and she is Amber and how he just moved in and like, are you my roommate? And she's being all like on business about it. Like, I'm feeling so proud, like, yeah, stood up for myself. And Deonna, to the confessional again, is like, I don't know why she's so upset because I did the same thing. But she doesn't say it to the girls. So Iris shares, like, listen, I have a lot of hair. Keith has a lot of hair. So we both have a lot of hair products. So he asked if he could use the other bathroom. Iris says that's his time. That's Keith's time. Like he can stay there, he can poop there. And I don't care because I know that he's coming back to the bed with me. But I think the difference, like you mentioned, Jen, last week, is just that Keith asked. Matt just took his stuff and was like, and she had to be like, what you doing? And he's
Right.
like, using the bathroom. So would have been nice to just mention it. So Amber is like, oh, now that you guys say this, maybe I'll let him use the bathroom and maybe I was overreacting, but I just want this forever so badly. She asks who has had sex. Beth raises her hand and she said they had sex on their honeymoon and it was awesome and it was awesome enough to keep having sex and it gets better. Remember this, guys, because this is just proof that the basic occasion sex was a lash out, I believe. That's one of the things I want to know
Hmm.
is just, was it a lash out or was it true? So, or was this a lie? So Deanna says, like, I don't have a timeline. Whenever it happens, it happens. Iris shares about the condoms. Beth, in the confessional again, says there are only two good things when you see an empty pack of condoms is either the person is being active or they're being safe. And she just needs to grow up.
I mean, she's not wrong.
Iris says like her problem is like, well, when was he committed to the process? And Amber is like, well, let's just say it started at the altar. And I think that's
Amen.
an ongoing question with MAFS because again, we went through this with Lauren and Orion and all that.
Hmm.
What does it matter the last time a person had sex? There are people that are capable of having sex without emotions because I think what is happening is people are thinking like, well, if you're having sex with this person, you still care about them or stuff. And I think you don't know who you're getting married to. You don't know if you're going to get picked. And it's like, if you have let's say a situation, not a situationship, because I think that is different. If you have a situationship a la Katie from the DC season, that's a problem. But if
Yeah.
it's just casual sex and it's just, or like in Lauren's case, she traveled to Paris, she met a man, and oui, c'est soi, and something happened. Um, why not? It doesn't mean that you're not committed. anything I'm with Amber, I guess I'm trying to say is like from the altar, but what do you think, Jen? Like when should your commitment start? Should it be from the minute you applied for the show and there's a possibility that you might get called up, or are you with Amber where it's like, listen, even till the day before you get married, you can do whatever you want to do?
I would say as long as nobody's doing it the morning of, I think it's okay. Like the morning of feels like a stretch, but anything before you walk down the aisle, I guess is okay because you truly don't know this person. But also, there's people that have been in long term committed relationships that do wild things at their bachelor parties. So it's not
Hmm.
unheard of that people would, and I say people, I think we're largely talking about men, although women do it occasionally, but I think it seems to be more men that are like, I need to get one last one out the way, or I just need
Hmm.
to do it one last time. So I think for people that don't know each other, and unless there's some requirement for the show, I
Yeah.
think as long as they're not doing it the morning of, via con Dios, like whatever you did before the morning of, we were supposed to be here, do what you got to do, boo. I mean, if it's
Yeah.
on, let's not do it on camera. Like some of the guys go a little bit overboard at the bachelor parties. So if we can, practice some restraint and not do it on camera, cool. But again, you don't know this person. You can be committed to the process once the process starts. Because I don't think that picking a tux makes it real. I think once you're there with your family, that makes it all in this weird process feel
Hmm.
weird. So I guess in my, as somebody that's not in this situation, because I might feel differently if this was me, but as an outside person looking in, I think as long as it's not happening that morning, vaya con Dios, because I
I
don't
do
know how to
think
say.
that from the minute they tell you that you are matched, probably all things should cease at that point.
What's that
And
time? What's the timeline between the time that you
they
find out to the time that you walk down the aisle?
they always say 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
Like every time they say, "Oh, you're getting married in 2 weeks," you're getting married in 2 weeks, which I think is a reasonable amount of time because if you're, how do I put this? If you're in a situationship, that's weird. I think that should have been cut. Like, if you're in a situationship, I think that should have been cut off the minute you apply for the show because it's gonna take you time. You got to wean yourself off. You have to, start preparing yourself. Like, oh, there's a possibility that this might happen. The minute you get matched, you should not be having sexual relations with anyone because technically that's like being engaged. You just don't know who it is. Now, I know you said some people do some wild things at their bachelor party and stuff like that. I I I think you can go as wild as you can in a bachelor party. I don't think intercourse should be one of them.
No.
And I would like to know the statistics on people who went wild and how long the marriage lasted. You know,
Right.
on that. So, but I do think like what you don't know. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. So I was just focusing on this condom package and how committed. That's just it's a moot point. It's just
Yes.
pointless.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's her looking for an out, her looking for a reason to pick on, okay, this is the thing that made it not work. This is the thing
Mm-hmm.
that gave me an out, which is strange because, again, she's with Keith, who is doing all of the things. He's inviting you to spend time with his grandmother, who hopefully her health is okay, but like he's fully committed and has invested in this relationship. So I'm not really sure what her hesitations continue to be.
Yeah. Deanna says, like, we have all had past, and as long as you don't bring your past to our present, then it's all good. And I noticed that neither she nor Greg mentioned him having a fiance to the group. Uh-huh. So, Iris tells Keith, they're done now and they're all back home. And Iris tells Keith that someone invited them to church. They said a name, but it feels like it should be someone I know, but I didn't quite catch it. And then she's like, if you would like to go, he was like, if you want me to, I'll go. She's like, no, but I don't want you to come if you don't want me to go. And he's like, no, but you want me to. So I'm like, someone just go. So,
This is them
so
feeling each other out. Like, is this what you want again? Especially because he's like, the compliments are too much. Will it be too much if I go with you? So I could see him being like super cautious
No, this
about.
is Iris. This is
Oh, this is
Keith.
Iris. Sorry, I'm so terrible at this. Never
Yeah,
mind.
it's Keith and Iris. And I'm just Keith is a very chill guy and Iris is so intense that it's
Yeah,
just he said, I would like to go and let's just end it. That's it.
yeah.
Let's not nitpick.
Yeah.
If you would like to, if you don't want to, I don't want you. If you don't want to, just too much for my brain. So Keith gives Iris props for being there for him through these difficult days. And they decide that they're going to host people in their home. Iris is
Mm.
bothered about people she doesn't know coming into her space. And I'm like, huh, okay. You marry someone at first sight, but you're bothered about people coming to your space. Okay. And when her friends start coming in, she's so excited. But one of her friends, who I'm guessing was not at the wedding, comes in, and Iris is just like, hi, I'm married. I'm like, okay.
She's so extra.
She is. Her mom comes, but she leaves, but she's so happy. And she's like, she loves Keith, that she sees Keith as her son already. And it's just the friends. And then the awkward friend question starts. They ask her how married life is. Iris says married life is good and they're learning each other. And they ask about this whole ring thing again. It is the ring wasn't a thing. Stop bringing it up like it was. And it looks like Iris put out a newsletter or something. So
Yes,
it comes up
yes.
every single time. Like, what is the story to tell?
I don't know if
It
she
fell
thinks
in the
it's
sand.
I don't know if she thinks it's funny or I don't know what it is about this story that makes her feel like, oh, this is the thing that, let's not talk about how we went on this hike in the middle of this deserted island or how we were on this boat. Like, why the ring needs to be the crux or the highlight of their honeymoon is really, really strange.
Yeah, because it's just when you tell the story, it sounds stupid, which he did. He's like, "Oh, I went in the sand and then my ring fell off and then it fell into deep sand and then we looked for it and then I found it." Okay,
The end.
please. So Iris looks over and suddenly sees that Keith's friends are helping themselves to her and Keith's lemonade. That they bought stuff just for the party and not for them to go into the refrigerator and go through their things. And she thinks it's so rude. And then she yells out, this was not a thought in her head. It comes out her mouth. And she's like, everyone's limit is 2 drinks. And then says out loud, I have the worst attitude right now because of lemonade, guys. I could Venmo her money to go to Costco and get that lemonade that is really like eating at her.
Was it
So
organic? Did somebody she know made it? Like to get so upset about lemonade is so strange. It's not like somebody went and got your like Louis tray, very
yeah,
expensive. This is lemonade. Why are you so upset about this?
it was very strange. The party's over, they're recapping, and Keith is like, how do you think it went? And Iris is still pouting over the lemonade. And Keith says, yeah, because they're used to in my apartment, they know they can get anything they want, and everything in the refrigerator is replaceable. Facts.
Yep.
Listen, I can act like an only child. Like sometimes I can get possessive of my place, but even I know that it's kind of ridiculous to be pouting over lemonade. It's lemonade. Like
But
I
also, if you know you don't want people in your space, why did you have people in your space? Like, clearly there's some kind of communal space in this apartment complex. Why didn't y'all have it down there? Or if you know that you were going to be so tied up about things, have people bring a drink. Like, I don't know. There's so many avoidable situations to what happened. It makes no sense to me at all.
I just think she needs to check herself. Because there were drinks for the party, like she mentioned, but maybe they wanted lemonade. There was cold
Right.
lemonade in the refrigerator. I've never gone to my friend's place and I'm like, I mean, yeah, I might throw out a, hey, is it okay if I have this or whatever? But
Right.
also, if they do or if they don't, I mean, who cares? Like, it's just
Right.
something she could have overlooked, I
Hmm.
think.
Hmm.
So he says that she thinks that it's a big deal because she's an only child. I don't think he said that out loud. He said that in a confessional. And then she keeps going on and on. And I was like, they were rummaging through my stuff. You would think that they went in there, put on gloves, got a white lights, and just started like
But
searching for
also,
stuff.
miss going through this man's drawers to find his condoms.
Uh-huh.
What? What's happening? Why are we okay with this, but not that? Let's be real.
Because that's her husband. She can do
Mm-mm.
that.
Mm-mm.
So Keith says that okay, and this is we find that this is Keith's MO because the last time when she was going on about the condoms, he's like, "Is this productive?" This time he's like, "Okay, is it something you can overcome? Because how long are we going to talk about this?" And she still won't let it go. She keeps going like, "That's something my friends would never do. My friends would never just come. My friends would never take that." I was like, "Are they really your friends then? If they can't do any of that?" She's like, "It's a boundary that they will respect our marriage." And Keith says all this about juice. And that is the appropriate reaction because
Yes.
so this makes Keith beginning to question them and he's beginning to see the differences that they both have. And that was it for them this episode, unless you have something else.
I would say that that's been their consistent issue. And I wouldn't even say they, her. That's been her consistent issue about not being clear about her boundaries. Clearly, she has some, and her friends know what they are. Why wouldn't you share them with your husband? If you are like, hey, we're having people over, I don't like it when people are all up in my stuff. Like, these are things that are avoidable. Like she should have, and we don't know exactly when she should have mentioned to him about the virginity, and maybe when she did was a little too late because he already knew. But like, this is a consistent issue I see with her about not being clear about what she wants and then spiraling when she doesn't get it. And Keith is so patient, and I'm so worried because this was the first time that I felt like, ooh, his patience is wearing thin. I don't know if he's going to make it real long being patient with her because
Yeah,
he's done a good job up until now.
I find that I don't think Iris herself knows. I think she found a lot of herself maybe on the show. So that's why it's hard for her to communicate. When you don't know what exactly it is, you don't know how to communicate that. So, yeah, I do think her immaturity, and I think Keith is not wrong about her being an only child playing into all of this. So,
Maybe,
okay.
maybe she's just real rigid, and she's got real
She's wound up tight.
specific. Yes, so maybe they're going to have basic African American sex. We'll see.
That's funny. All right, guys, we're going to take a break and then we will come back to the couple that had basic Caucasian sex. And we're back to talk about Beth and Jamie. They are starting with a glitter alert. What is a glitter alert, you ask? It is code for when you need to do number two. And you can take a wild guess who came up with that between the two. And then she tells him, like, listen, you're gonna have to get me flowers. And he's like, okay, like every day. He's like, not every day or every week, but maybe like twice a month. And Jamie's just happy, says she feels like home. And their parents are coming to their home, and Jamie is worried about her dad because of their last interaction. I don't know how this is just clocking in 7 episodes that Beth's mom's name is Dreama. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but Drema.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're all hanging out. So Jamie's dad and stepmom are here, and then Beth's parents are here. And Beth's mom is just like, so you consummated the marriage? And her dad has to have a reaction. Beth is her dad's child. And her dad is just like, hey, 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 don't say that. I don't want to know about that. So his stepmom asks what Beth does because she says she worked for her dad. And she says, hopefully sales and marketing. I'm like, oh, wait, because I do remember when Jamie asked at the wedding, she said, I work in sales and marketing. So now it's sales and marketing, meaning she doesn't know what she's going to be doing for her dad. And she starts next week. She says that his stepmom is like, she's a free spirit. She seems to be a free spirit and it might bother him and he might just not work. They start asking about kids, and Beth tells us that she's overwhelmed by all the questions, but they both don't want kids, but they don't want to tell them because as a woman, you always feel this pressure that you should have kids, but it kind of felt good for Jamie to back her up. And I feel for her because that is true. She's not lying. And I'm actually surprised that she doesn't want to flat out come out and say, hey, I don't want kids. But society puts so much pressure. Like it's just supposed to be one, two, three. You get married and then you have kids. And there's not that. respect, because I think we give, some of these hosts like the Lachey's or even Kevin still asking about that, but I don't know that we've actually talked about it in the regular sense. And I have to remember if things have changed with like friends and family, because even in the real world, that is what family, that's what they do. Is even till today, I keep getting asked, "Oh, do you want kids? Are you gonna have kids?" And I'm just like, in 2025, people are still asking this question. So I felt for her in this moment when she said she was overwhelmed.
I did, but I guess to your point, like, yeah, is it appropriate from Lachey's? No. Is it appropriate from Kevin? No. Is it appropriate from us? No. But I think your family, especially for the opposite family that's trying to get to know you, it's a question that they'd want to ask, especially if they know what Jamie feels. They, or if Jamie's been lying to them this whole time, like they'd be curious to know what Beth feels about it. So I don't know. In this situation, I didn't take it as odd or out of pocket because they're family and this is something that a family would want to know. But also this is family, and if you're going to tell anybody the truth, why wouldn't you tell your family like, no, we don't really want to, or we're gonna delay it or whatever. So I don't know. I thought of out
I
of anybody, this felt like somebody you could tell the truth to.
I'm keeping in mind that it is a television show at the end of the day and they have to ask these questions. But I think realistically, in a real life scenario, if they really want to know, especially since they just met and they're not like proper in laws, have known each other for years, go ask your respective families.
Yeah.
Beth's
Yeah.
dad, Beth's mom, ask Beth. Jamie's dad, Jamie's stepmom, ask Jamie.
Yeah.
But cornering someone you just met and you don't know and all that, it's kind of like a lot.
I guess I'm playing
Especially
devil's
if
advocate.
Jamie's is also lying to his family because
That's
he
true.
didn't put that in there and they don't seem to know. Why are they
Right.
asking about kids and they don't know that he doesn't want kids? Like,
Right.
it's just weird.
But Beth is also somebody, if I was to meet her for the first time and to see how open she was, like, look how open she was with you in the elevator. Like, she strikes me as somebody that would not have an issue answering a question, or if she was uncomfortable, she'd be like, I don't want to talk about that. So I think as somebody that just met her, I wouldn't think that she would have a problem with it, or if she did, she'd say something. So
She did. She said she was
yeah, and she
overwhelmed.
did. And she did.
Yeah, she was like, I'm overwhelmed by these questions. I don't want kids. I don't want to tell them. I don't know why they're asking me. So, yeah, I just felt like it was not this whole kids thing. Ask off camera, I feel. So, anyways, so they asked them if they had to decide today, will they say yes? She said she would say yes. Jamie says he would also say yes. Her dad is like, well, she has feelings in 2 weeks, that he must be a great guy. And all in all, it was a great visit by the families and it went well. They are recapping their day on the couch. And she starts asking a bunch of questions like,
Dun dun
oh,
dun
how long
dun.
has your dad been married to his stepmom? He said about 9 years. Like, oh, like how long were your parents married? Why did they get divorced? Did it change your perspective on marriage? And then he has this weird look on his face and she's like, are you okay? And he says, that is a sensitive subject and I'm trying to back out of it. And she's like, oh, I didn't know you were trying to back out of it. And he tells us that his parents' divorce was painful and she knows that. So he's not sure what she's trying to do here. I'm I'm going to pause here and be like, I have many questions here. Like, if that is in fact true, because he said, she said, we don't know, why would she ask those questions? And why would she like, are you okay? Why are you doing this? Like, what do you think the intent? Do you think Beth asked intentionally?
If I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt, I think if they had this conversation, she completely forgot about it. And this was her way of being like, tell me about this again. Because either you told me at the honeymoon and I was wasted and I forgot. Like, I could see her completely just forgetting the conversation, even though you would think this is clearly something that's tough for him and dramatic for him. How would you possibly forget it? But Beth, I could see her just completely forgetting the conversation.
I was gonna say that's terrible. She forgot, especially if he says that was a painful part. Oh, and I'm very
I'm not
sensitive
proud
to.
of. Yeah, I'm not proud of her for it, but I, until now, didn't think she was malicious. I think she just truly forgot.
Okay, this is where things go really downhill to the pits of hell. Jamie's like, since we're in the art of probing his words, I figure I'm just gonna bring up things that bother me too. And then he brings up her working for her dad. And she's like, okay. And then he's like, so is this a handout or something? Or is this something that you're trying to achieve? So now we know for sure that this was a lick back that he was trying to get.
For sure.
But Beth is not bothered. She's like, I mean, doesn't bother me. Like, why wouldn't I take an opportunity? And Jamie was like, you took nepotism, not an opportunity. And she's like, oh, okay. Does it bother you? Do you have less respect for me? Beth says that she's learning that Jamie lashes out when he's hurt. Beth tells him that you can't keep doing that because you're going to push me away. And do you want to know something interesting about me? I've never not been offered a job from an interview. Jamie was like, oh, okay. So those interviews, were they done by your dad or other people? And it's very clear what she meant.
So
And she's
rude.
like, shut the fuck up. That I cannot worry about if you disagree. Like anytime we disagree, you're going to lash out emotionally. And she says, like, she wasn't trying to do anything. She really was just trying to understand his perspective on marriage. Devil's advocate, I know she could just say, hey, did your parents' divorce affect you or affect your perspective on marriage? Even though that sounds like a band-aid over a gunshot wound, because again, he's adamant that he's explained this to her and it's not changing anything, and they've had this conversation, so I can see how he would be annoyed, but he didn't have to take it to this level. And then if you're upset, just say, hey, we talked about this before. Like, I'd rather not talk about this on camera or something. But to go all the way and be like, okay, where can I poke at this girl? And she worked for her dad. She's lazy. She's this, she's that. And then I think the fact that she was unbothered by it bothered him even more.
I know, right? I just called you a
She's
Nepo baby. Why aren't you upset?
I know. She's like, why wouldn't I take it? Like, why would I get an opportunity? And she's like, oh,
Right.
wait, you have less respect for me. Oh, poor you. So that was it. The scene ends, and then we come back from commercial, and Jamie's walking in with flowers. I'm like, oh, okay, nice conflict resolution, but this doesn't seem good. So he tells us that he left the house after that, but then he feels down, but he's not giving up on the marriage. But sometimes he thinks that she doesn't take the marriage seriously, so he wants to lay everything out on the table. He says that he doesn't want to just exist with her, and he wants to know her. And when she makes jokes like they're sitting on the couch again, I think the couch is a problem, by the way. And when she makes jokes like, "Do you still like me? Do you find me attractive?" Or I know you're gonna break up with me." That he knows that she says she's joking, but there's some truth to it, and it doesn't make him feel good, and it hurts. Then he tells her all the time, and if she keeps him at arm's distance, it's not what he wants. She's just like, oh, fuck, dude. I can only sit here and take you ruining my evening for only so long. My anxiety is up to here because I cannot understand what you want from me. So you either get on the positivity train, and she tells us, I have nothing to give him. Then she tells him, why can't you come home and have a good afternoon? Then he says, what do you want, Elizabeth? She says, I want you to be happy with me. And he says, that's why I want to talk and just get everything out on the table. And she goes, that's all you want to do is talk, 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 talk. Do you not have anything better to do than to sit here and break down our relationship? So this is a very wild response, Jen, and I feel like we missed something. I don't know if this is editing, but I cannot fathom that this is her response to someone saying, I want us to talk about a relationship, given that you have 8 weeks and you just met. And now you're saying that all he wants to do is talk about a relationship. How is that a negative?
Because I think Beth is just void of responsibility in terms of her job and even this process. Like, I don't know. I guess I don't see where she works hard at anything and puts energy towards anything other than being the fun girl. And I don't know. That's what I got from this was she just wants to have fun. She wants life to be fun and everything will just work itself out because somebody is always behind her with a net figuring things out for her. And so
Mm.
Jamie's like, "No, we don't have a net. Like we've got to build the net together." And she's like, "That seems like a lot of work. I don't want to do that. I'll call my dad." And so I don't think I never thought in a million years I would side with Jamie, but he's not wrong.
I just, yeah, it was a really, really strange response to somebody trying to work things out with
Yes.
you. So I'm like,
Yes.
either we missed something, or this is really Beth, or what is happening right now. He's not like the greatest either because he's not coming from a good place. He's coming from a place of revenge. Vengeance is mine, said Jamie. So she's like, I thought we were going to have a great day, but it has turned into a therapy session. And he's like, I just want you to take accountability. She's like, accountability for what? Then Jamie's like, she's not hurt enough. I got to dig this knife deeper. He's like, I try to be. And then he's doing that thing where, where men just talk like really calmly. So you think like they're making
Oh,
more sense, but they're really
right.
not.
Right.
And he's like, I tried to be intimate with you and you come up with a lot of excuses. And she's like, Jamie, we have a lot of sex. And he said, we've had sex like 4 or 5 times max. She's like, are you kidding me? Are you a sexaholic or something? Like, we've had sex like once a day. Maybe I need to ask Dr. Pepper what the good amount is. I'm like, where's Dr. Viviana? Isn't she the sex therapist? But okay.
Uh,
Um, and maybe I need to suck your dick at least once a day, a few more times a week. And he's like, thank you, that'll be nice. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I don't think that was an offer, Jamie, but okay.
She's just like, and then you're making all these complaints, but do you even romance me? Like, this is the first time you bought me flowers. Like, you don't romance me, you don't massage me. But I'm like, they just got back from the honeymoon. When was he supposed to buy the? And she just declared that she wanted the flowers yesterday. And
Right.
he did it immediately the next day. But okay. She's like, you don't initiate anything. You just like to do basic, like Caucasian sex, and it's just like bam, bam, done. And I don't think she knew what's that thing. You know that TikTok thing, POV. In a few years, she did not realize that she was going to be etched in MAFS history for life with these words.
Oh my gosh. Yes, for sure.
So Jamie walks away. And he was like, why can't you just say sorry? She's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be sorry for. And he says, I have to go. And he's like, packing his stuff. And she's like, yes, pack your stuff, pack your shit and go. You're always so sensitive and you come home in a shitty mood. Just go. That was crazy. I'm
That
sure the
was
producers were like, wow. They
the
were just
poor
high fiving each other. We did it, guys. We did.
the cameramen were just like, did we still record? Like, how do I make myself small? How do I not be in this room, but be in this room? Ah, I hope those guys got a raise for the season. But yeah, I don't know. Like neither one of them knows how to fight clean. They both fight dirty. And I think Jamie has a limit and he's like, I'm going to try everything. And then once you reach my limit, you're getting bad Jamie. You're getting bad Santa. You're getting, devil horns Jamie. You're getting the veneer has come off Jamie. And that guy is scary. So I think that maybe historically people that have, when they see dark Jamie, maybe they
Mhm.
kind of back away and she doubles down. And that's
Yeah.
not a good reaction to have when he's finally had it. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, they needed somebody, I don't know if that's Cal, Pepper, somebody on immediate speed dial because that was all of that was terrible. But I don't know. I get where he's coming from. I think he's kind of fed up to be like, hey, you're this, you know, woman child that just kind of bops around. And I think he's realizing, oh, yeah, she doesn't really have, she's never been told no. She's that person that's never been told no. And she's like, my dogs are terrible, but that's my fault. And I'm working for my dad next week, but that's my fault. And I don't see her taking responsibility. And for him, who's Mr. Picky, supposedly, I could see him wanting somebody, it was fun on the honeymoon, but can I build with this person? And I can see him being really worried about that moving forward.
So I can see that, but I would argue that he's also being a man child. All you
For
had to
sure.
do was tell her that you didn't appreciate her bringing up that topic on camera.
For
We didn't
sure.
have to go this far. He just went, brought a gun to a knife fight. Like,
For sure.
you didn't have to go, well, did your dad give this to you? Because it was clearly condescending.
Yes.
It was clearly looked over. And then if you were bothered by it, why didn't you bring it up before today? Instead, he's like, well, since we're talking about things that bother people, let's do this. And it's like, that is not a fighting bullet point
Right.
that you bring over there. So, not the finest moment from both of them. And I
No.
don't even know if they need experts because next week's episode, they're laughing again. So the toxic cycle begins.
Yay.
Speaking of toxic, we move to Amber and Matt. And they're headed to her aunt's house for dinner. She says she does this every Sunday. They're driving over. Amber is driving over, and she says that she's obsessed with the movie Love and Basketball. Matt also loves the movie, said he wanted to name one of his kids Quincy. I think the one thing they both have in common, for lack of a better word, I think they're both spicy is not the word, but they have a little bit of um is it interest in the black culture? I don't know how to phrase that, but that
I
they
mean,
both have that.
outside.
Like, I think that they're in the know. So you can move through the world. Like how I joke that there is. It's not a joke. I don't know why I said that. There's Black Hollywood, and then there's Hollywood, and there's just a vast difference where people in Hollywood have no idea about like some famous Black pop culture moments or Hollywood
Right.
moments and things like that. So it's like the whole world's expected to watch all the movies like in the regular Hollywood, but then when it comes to Black Hollywood, they'll be like, "What movie is that? Who is that?"
Right.
Or we have like a celebrity, like Sanaa Lathan was on, I forget what show, and it's like, do you know who Sanaa Lathan is to us? And it's like people are just meeting her for the first time. Or even Garcelle when she
Hmm.
was in the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and people know that she's an actress, but to us, we're like
That's
from the days of
fancy.
Fancy and
Yeah.
Beyond and stuff. So it's like a whole disparaging. But I think Amber and Matt have a little bit of culture knowledge, is what I'm trying to say.
I think it's really limited. I hear what you're saying, and I think it's definitely, you hear Regina King talk about a lot of times that, her and the other Regina get mixed up a
Yeah.
lot. Where for us they're very distinct people.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I see that in the two of them. I think their commonality is strictly around basketball. And so Love and Basketball falls under that. I could see maybe if he was a young player, um, and somebody, I'm guessing he grew up with a lot of black guys on his team. And so they were watching this, so he watched this. I don't know if he took that in beyond that because not a
Hmm.
single one of his groomsmen was
Hmm.
not palm colored. So I don't know if it extends beyond just, hey, this is what
Yeah.
we know about basketball. And I can name every basketball player from here to Kingdom Come, but I don't know what Juneteenth is. I feel like it's real specific just to basketball.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, so she asks about children, and he says that he has things he wants to accomplish. So it'll be like 6, 7, 8 years before he has kids. I feel
Bro.
like as he was saying it, he was like, okay, 6 too short. Let me go 7. Wait, that's the same. Let's go 8. So yeah, 8. That sounds good. Not quite 10, but 8. And Amber is like, excuse me, do you need someone younger? Like, you're going to be like 40 and I'll be 35. Why would I do that? So she asked him, like, when you signed up, did you mention that? And he's like, kids don't scare me. It's being tied to the person forever. Huh?
What? Yeah, what, sir?
Huh? Like, that is kind of what marriage is. But I
Yeah,
mean, I
but
guess I know what
also,
he means is like with the marriage, if you don't like it, you can divorce, but you're still tied to the person forever. But then why sign up? I don't
you're still
know.
tied to that kid forever. So even if you're not tied to the mom, you're still tied to the kid.
Yeah, he's fine with the kid. He says being tied to the person that birthed the kid forever.
But because I think he doesn't understand what being tied to a kid means. I think he's thinking about, I'm going to take him to games and we're going to go sports and we're going to eat pizza. He's not thinking about, oh, I got to sit down and study with your ass and teach you
The
how to,
day
like,
today.
yeah, he's not thinking about that part. He's thinking about the fun dad stuff. Oh, Matt.
So Amber says, if we're married, doesn't that mean we're bonded for life? So they get over there, and then she's chatting with her twin sister, and her sister finds a way to ask what it's like to have sex with a man that's 6'9". And I don't know if you picked up on this, but her sister seemed nervous. It felt like she was talking a mile a minute. But I don't know if that's just how she talks all the time.
Yeah, and I don't. There's something was happening because she didn't stay for dinner, so I don't know if she was just on a time crunch and she's like, I got to fit all 16 questions in the 10 minutes that you and I are sitting on this trampoline for some reason. But yeah, it felt like a lot of that, and
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
she brings up the different bathrooms, and her sister says that's weird. But then after she explained why he did it, she switches and is like, "Okay, that's sweet that he took the guest bathroom versus telling her to take the guest bathroom." I'm like, "Okay, bars on the floor." But she says Amber is like, but talking to her sister makes her realize that they need to work on their communication. So I feel like maybe we didn't even see the full conversation. So she shares about the kid thing too, the 6, 7, 8 years, and she said it makes her wonder if she isn't the wife for him. And like you mentioned, her sister's like, okay, bye. She doesn't come to share dinner. I'm like, do you not speak to Auntie Shirley or whoever it was? Like, is there beef?
yeah,
Because she didn't even come in to say bye, guys. She just says bye.
right,
She doesn't
right.
enter the house. But they go in and her aunt starts asking, how much do you know about Keith on a scale of 1 to 10? And she says, 2. Even Keith is like, 2? Like, why do you think that it's just 2? And she's like, you might know more than you think that you do. And they start asking, like, I know you know him because I asked, what do you eat? And he says he eats everything. I was like, is that an indicator that you know? But Keith says that he feels like it's like a 5 out of 6 because she talks so much. Ha 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 ha. I'm like,
Yeah,
yikes.
jokes. And also, Miss
Yikes.
Tane, I love you dearly, and I think you have him on your mind because he's much more interesting, but you keep calling
Oh,
Matt
I said
Keith.
Keith. Matt. I just heard it after. My bad, guys. I meant Matt. All right. So all of a sudden, they're back home. We have true crime doc music in the background. The security cam footage is going on. It's night vision, black and white. We see 1:08 p.m. Matt is home. He takes a shower, comes out in the towel, vigorously drying a mug or something that he washed. 4:37 p.m. Amber comes home. 5:48 p.m. She's doing her lunges around the house. I was like, good for you, girl. And that's also an idea. I never thought about that. And 7:26 p.m. still no Matt. Then she has a selfie cam and she tells us that I have called him 4 times. He's allegedly out with his friends, but he's not answering. And I just care about him and I just want to make sure she's okay. He's okay. 12:49 a.m. She is sobbing. When I
Yeah,
say sobbing, like can't
yeah.
breathe, sobbing to her dad that she's not okay, that this hurts so bad, that she's so sad and she doesn't even know why she likes him. She just wants to hear from him. And at 2 a.m., we find that he's still not back. She goes to the couch and she feels like he doesn't like her or care about her and she doesn't want to do this anymore. So
Mm.
dramatic.
Dramatic, but I get it. Like, she is put as much of her little heart into it as she can, and she's done in ways that she can only describe everything that she
Yeah.
can. Like, she's been the sexy one, she's been the funny one, she's been the flirty one, she's been, the hot one, the exercising one, the emotional one, the reality check. Like, she's done everything she possibly could do, and for him to not even check in, send a text,
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot for him to just disappear.
I, again, I would never forgive the experts for giving someone with such an anxious attachment style, with a
Yeah.
fear of abandonment, with a man
Yeah.
who is transient.
Yep.
That's insane to me. Like, what are you doing to this little girl's heart?
Yeah. And somebody who, even, I think, and I don't know if this was in the throes of her being upset, called him unemotional, where she is all the emotions and not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily in a bad way, but to get people so dysregulated with their emotions together and to
Yeah.
think they're going to fix each other is crazy.
Yeah. 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 All right, so we're gonna wrap things up with Deonna and Greg. Deonna gets back from work and tells Greg to close his eyes. And she got him a cookie cake for his birthday. And he says that means a lot to her that she remembered his birthday. Greg throws shade on all the compliments that she gives Sandy, but does not kind of give to him or does not even want for herself. And the fact that Greg keeps comparing his relationship to Sandy to his relationship with Deonna, I guess it's funny. But so she tells him that she has moved past comfortable and she really likes her husband. And she says that's a big deal for her to say that. Greg is like, well, does that mean that you are sexually attracted to me and you want to jump my bones? And she's like, yep, that's what it means. I think he wasn't expecting her to say it. And he's like,
No,
oh, okay.
no, he was not.
So he does say that their intimacy could be better. And she's like, I don't want to have sex too fast. Like, based on my past, based on situationships. Like, I was just giving into urges, but now, we're actually married and I just want to do it the right way. He says he's a bit worried, but she says that she will work on it and she'll try to get herself out of her comfort zone. And Greg is like, so we're having sex tonight?
Shoot your shot, buddy. Shoot your shot.
I think what I like about them is I'm so traumatized by latest seasons that when he says things like the sex, like, oh, our intimacy could be better, I'm fully expecting her to go ape shit on him. Like, how dare you
Mm,
force me?
mm,
But she actually recognizes what he's saying, that he's not coming from a bad place. He just actually finds her attractive and it's just like, I would like to, but at your own pace. And she's like, I understand that I'm working slow, but I will work on it. And I recognize that there's room for me to grow. And that's
yeah,
always like a nice surprise or a pleasant surprise when I'm expecting the worst.
yeah. And I think my favorite conversation that they had was when they talked about, and I think he brought it up where he's like, is there levels to where we are now and to sex? Like, is there a level in between and what does that look like? That's such a clarifying question
Mm-hmm.
to go from, and it's something that maybe Iris and Keith should talk about. But I like that they're really clear about, I want to understand what this means to you. And they're asking each other those questions so that they can both be on the same page about it and not have to guess. Like, they are seriously textbook. Future people on the show should watch these two communicate, because that's really the basis of a lot of this, but also joking with it and not making everything make or break. Because I could see, to your point about now in a season's like, oh, if we're not having sex, then it's over. Like, if we're not sexually attracted to each
Yeah.
other 2 seconds after we've met, then it's over. I'm just going to hang out with Madison now. Like, I think now at least these two have tried to figure out, like, where are we going and how do we get there together? And it's so refreshing.
And it's a testament to what Deanna did with the 10 years, getting to know herself, because this is a woman who knows herself. And that is what I
Yeah.
think is the difference between her and Iris. I don't think Iris knew herself. And she's learning herself as the journey goes on, which is very difficult when you just married a stranger. You're learning him and you're learning yourself. Deanna is very self assured. That's why she doesn't feel the need, even with the girls, to say, or to chime in and be like, I did the same thing. You don't need to do that. She just speaks on a need to know basis.
Yeah.
And like you said, she's very clear about it. Like, even when he's saying, oh, does that mean you find me sexually attractive? She's flat out, she's not going to beat around the bush and be like, well, maybe on one level. She's like, yes, I do. It is
Right.
what it is. And that's because she knows herself. And there's that confidence that comes with that.
Yeah, for sure.
So Deanna hosts a birthday party for Greg, and it's her friends and his friends. And someone mentions, starts a sentence with, I hear you want to have 8 kids. I'm like, we didn't know that. Did we know that?
No, I know. I don't think I knew that he came from a big family, even. I didn't even know he was Nigerian. I don't know how that missed me, but yeah, good
So I
information.
don't know if he comes from a big family, but he says, I am Nigerian, and being African, we need our village. And I want to say this all this while. His last name is Nigerian. Like, you can recognize a fellow Nigerian's last name. So I've known that he was Nigerian, but I didn't know if it was a case of he had a dad who was not in his life who had a Nigerian last name and he had his last name, or if it's an Ikechi type thing where Ikechi told MM, like, there's no Nigerian here, but he has a Nigerian name. His last name is Nigerian, but he's like, there's nothing Nigerian about him. So I didn't know if that was the case with Greg. So that was news to me too.
Yeah. And I don't know,
Oh,
and we'll have to research this before the next episode. Like, I thought he was one of a lot of kids, which is why he wanted a lot of kids.
oh, okay. I don't remember. I didn't know. So they separate the friends that is, and they ask him how it's going. He says it's going very well, and then he shares that she's not affectionate. But it doesn't go to the case of whose friends was it? It wasn't Miguel's friends or someone who it just went left field with their friends. It was the San Diego season. Was it Miguel? Do you remember
Oh gosh,
when
there
they
was
were
so many.
wearing the wigs?
No, I think that was Blondie. Her friends went off on
Yeah.
the real
Whose
tight.
friends? Was it
Oh,
Claire?
Emily. Was it Emily? I think it
Emily?
was
Okay, yes,
Emily.
it was Emily's friend. Yes, with
Yes.
Brennan and all
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
It didn't go off the hinges. They're just like, okay, you're happy, it's good, and no one was yelling at each other not to drink their lemonade. It was just all good, mature people just sharing their drinks.
Exactly. And down in a common area, not in anybody's space, not stressing out Sandy, not complaining about having dog hair everywhere. We went to a common space and it was cool. And at some point, people disappeared because at one point they were with her friends and then with his friends, and then the friends came back. So there was something going on with people shifting.
Mhm.
But it was a good way to have the conversation without it being awkward. Because I know sometimes they do it where like, somebody's on one side of the couch and then somebody else is in the kitchen. It's like, can't you guys hear
Mhm.
each other? This is not a productive way to
Yeah.
have this conversation.
Yeah, so her friends ask if they're sleeping in the same bed and if they cuddle. And she says yes, that she's pushed herself out her comfort zone. Her friend says that she's being more open to the fact that she can't be happy. And they do tell him that they're hearing things they've never heard before, and it's all good things. Deonna tells us that she feels closer to Greg tonight, and she's just enjoying the moment and just seeing him in the element, just being in the moment, and it's attractive to her. And they're recapping the night, and Greg is like, I'm feeling passionate chemistry, and I'm wondering if I'm gonna get lucky tonight. Deanna says that she's attracted, and if something were to happen, she won't be opposed to it. And then she gives a little cute giggle. But then the episode ends, and I'm just like, we'll find out next episode if Greg gets him some birthday sex. Birthday sex. So yes, but it was cute. It was cute. They were
Yeah.
cute, and they're smooth sailing, and fingers crossed.
They're playful, they're fun. I think, they react really well to each other. And I can still go back to when she found out about his fiance. She handled that so well. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's just kind of, if they can maintain this, and be maybe, sometimes when there's the couple that's stable, they're the boring couple, a la
Mm-hmm.
Camille and Thomas. Like, they're
Yeah.
the stable couple, but they're not boring, which is a really
Yeah.
interesting, refreshing approach to a couple.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the episode. I realized late that I didn't share the past MAFS participants.
Oh,
What's happened? I mean, I didn't have that much, but I could really quickly share what I had. Jasmina wished Katina happy birthday. And I'm only mentioning that because I wasn't sure if they were still friends or still in contact, but this shows that they're still in contact. Noi didn't ask me anything, and she's no longer with her boyfriend. Tom did a post where he was linking his fits, and I find that most of the recent season, that's what they're doing, is just sharing their outfits and where you can get it from. I think Madison does it, Michelle does it, and I guess now Tom. And then Justin from the San Diego season, he's been doing this thing where he just creates AI sneakers and then tags people and says, I made this for you. So I
ew.
don't know what that's about, but
Is that the new version of a mixtape?
I don't know. I honestly don't even get what the science of it
Gross.
all. I think someone asked him, and I still didn't understand his explanation for why he was doing it. So yeah, that was it. Real quick, nothing really major. But before we round things out, Jen, share with people where your adventures are or where they can find you.
Our adventures continue through Southeast Asia, and I'm actually walking this time, so our video should be a lot more interesting. So you can find us on Instagram and YouTube at jns.adventures.
Yeah, and you know where to find me. Also called MAFS, ALTARCALLMAFS on social media on Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter, Threads. And if you enjoy Love Island, you can catch me live tweeting the episodes on Threads because it's bunkers this season. And if you'd like to shoot me an email, you could just add at gmail.com to that. Please give me a 5-star rating on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. It truly helps me out. And until the next episode, I hope you're enjoying the rewatch. We'll catch you then. Bye, guys.
Bye.